you here. All right. So, Andrea, I hit the button. We're going to see how the tech stuff goes today. We're going to see how it does. I'm not quite sure. I've seen a few other people join us. Feel free, you guys. We have about 2 more minutes of connection. I see Christina. I see Michelle. I see Ian, Brandon. I see a few people. If you guys ever want to just connect in, just would love to hear what you did this weekend. Either rest and relaxation, or maybe there was some fireworks, or maybe there's some kid stuff, or maybe there was like some, I don't know, anything good, do anything good. Moment of gratitude for the weekend. What's one thing that went really, really well? If you don't want to come on camera, just post it in the chat. Just post it in the chat for something that you did this weekend that made you feel grateful, that made you feel joyous, that made you feel proud. Here's an extra bonus question. What did you guys do for you this weekend? What's one thing you did with self-care? All right, check in here. Check in. All right. Come on, people. I know some of you are here. Just type it in the chat if you don't want to show up on your video camera. One thing that made you feel grateful, joyous, proud this weekend. We're going to put ourselves into this state of a higher vibration. We're going to start to attract beautiful things into our lives, especially as we start this week. Brandon completely moved my entire apartment to Clinton. He's officially started your new life, Brandon. Another new life. Well done, my man. Well done. Oh, Christina had a blast with Janine on the 4th. And I did a lot of nothing this weekend. Yes, Christine, I love that. I also hung out with Janine a little bit on the 5th. She has a really cool campground that she has every single year. That was cool. Catherine, reflection journaling, time with the girls. Oh, Catherine. I'd love you to check in too and share with us. I know you were going through a little bit of a challenging time with your teenager last week. Are you in a place where you can share a little bit?
Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning. I love your backdrop. Are you on the beach?
Yeah, I'm like a block away from the beach.
So cool. How are things?
They're better. I mean, I think it's just all a work in progress, but they're better. I mean, we just been having heart to hearts, and I feel that we're just kind of moving forward day by day, right? But better.
The heart to hearts are happening though.
Huh?
The heart to hearts are happening though.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I talked with time. It was just kind of like, what? Really? But like, are they listening? But we'll see. I don't know. Well, we'll wait for the next episode or not, you know?
To the next episode. That's true. Funny part is they're always listening, right? But as soon as they hit like 11 or 12, the block sort of shows up. But they're always listening. The words are never not being heard. It's just allowing them to receive it.
Yeah. And I'm also reading that like the workbook of the from Michael Singer. And it's just
yes.
Like wow. what our minds do. I'm like, what? Because you know, you read them and then you're like, okay, well then how do I do that? How do I live in that state all the time? Like, that's so amazing. It's obviously a challenge.
And I don't know if you've heard a lot of his podcasts. You're talking about the Untethered Soul? Is that what you, or the Surrender Experiment? Untethered Soul?
Well, I read the Untethered, then the Living, I did the Surrender, but I still found myself like, okay, but why do I keep like that reactive thing? That's what I'm working on, right? So it's like letting go stuff, you know, like I'm just shedding. So it's like, okay, how do I, in some of the moments, like when I was going through a hardship, you know, I found myself at the beginning reactive. Sorry, Jax. ¿Se entró por allá? ¿Ah? Sí. Sorry. Jackson. Lord. Jack. Sorry.
All good.
Okay. I found myself reactive, and then I had to like check myself, like check in with myself, because I know that doesn't add any value to anything, right? And then it's just fear and all that other stuff. But yeah, so then I found a workbook. So I'm kind of like listening to lectures. Yeah.
It's unbelievable stuff, isn't it? And you know what's funny? Did you hear that when he wrote Untethered Soul, he was in the middle of it with the FBI, DOJ, and audit companies going through his entire, business. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
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 So it was like funny if he can surrender to that and
Yeah.
write that book at the same time. It's like, okay, we got to learn something from that. Wow, beautiful. Yeah, he's been a really, really, really big piece of my own awakening. I know we've chatted about that, Katherine. If anybody of you have not heard of him, Michael Singer, he wrote The Surrender Experiment, Untethered Soul, Living Untethered. Fantastic man, fantastic spirit and being, fantastic books. So that's awesome. Thank you for sharing. Okay, anyone else want to share anything before we jump into today's? I see Ian. Hey, good morning, Ian. You want to stay on mute, dude, or you want to hang out with us? Are you contributing today, or you want to be on mute?
My dog keeps barking. I don't want to disturb everybody.
Yeah. Happy Monday, dude.
So I may mute from time to time, or you guys can just listen to a dog bark.
Yeah, it's all good. You can mute from time to time.
It's lawnmower day. Yeah. No, dude, I'm all in. I just texted you. I have a really great exercise when I was working through this. When I was working through a lot of what I'm hearing from like Katherine and I forget who talked earlier. There are these thoughts that come in and we think that they're real because they feel real and they make sense to that side of us, which is like the replaceable side, the inauthentic, the old, the traumatized pain version of us. And then the new, like real us, new only because we haven't brought it out in a while or ever, is the irreplaceable, authentic side of us is like, no, that can't be true. But the feeling feels real and it registers from the head into the body and it feels really real. Mm-hmm. And then we start to believe it, right? And that's that vicious cycle, like programming, thoughts lead to feelings, actions, results, and then we just start spinning faster. Yeah. So I created this exercise for myself that allowed me to take those crazy thoughts, the irrational thoughts, and start to work myself through not only changing and interrupting the pattern of them just letting them run wild. Like they're horses that just get let out. They're just going to go. Mm-hmm. Well, like I can contain them and I can catalog them. And not only am I interrupting the pattern from letting them run and taking back control of that brain wire, but I'm also building a habit to interrupt the pattern so that it doesn't wreck your whole day, your whole world, or cause you to make choices in that moment that actually aren't you, that create a result that you don't want. Does that, Katherine, that make a lot of sense? Yeah.
Yeah. It does. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that past version of us comes into the present, makes a decision, incorporates into the present, and a future result is created. And we're like, I didn't want that, but you did that, right? It's not from this pure, authentic place. It's from all the stuff that we've been taught and programmed on. So I can do it today. I can do it next time. Or we can do another one and I can just take people through it in like 5 minutes. I think it'd be really helpful to be able to interrupt that pattern.
Let's plan that. Let's plan that for next Monday, if you're good with it. That'll be cool. I just wanted to tag on to what he said though too. Who here?
I'll be in the islands.
You'll be in the islands. Is that next week? All right, beautiful. Is that something I'm wondering? Is that an exercise that we can do a recording on and give it to everybody in REI Life Unlimited, or is that something that they have to go deeper on?
Yeah, it'd be. Well, it'd be helpful if there's like a couple people, like if Katherine wanted to do something with us or Brandon or anybody on this call wanted to actually go through it to learn it more, that would be helpful. And then we could send the recording out so everybody could be on it and we can run everybody through it. It's very fast. I did it because I built it because I'm very impatient and I wanted something like that works fast.
All right. I like it. Well, yeah, maybe let's get through some of this today. I just wanted to have a connection with some of you guys here. I see Brandon on. Brandon, do you want to share anything, dude? Or are you just here? Oh, he's in Clinton, so he's frozen. I know the Wi-Fi in Clinton. who here, and post in the chat if you've heard this, right? Who here has heard in the chat that, you know, there's some people who are human beings having a spiritual experience, right? And then there's the reverse, right? That we're actually spiritual beings having a human experience. Has anybody heard that before? Post up in the chat if you've heard that before, right? Yeah, a few people are, but good, beautiful. You know what's interesting is what Ian and what Catherine and what myself, right? Like where sometimes we struggle, right? The whole reason that we even created Life Unlimited is to understand that we are this spiritual being. We are boundless. We are timeless. We can do absolutely anything that we set our minds to and our hearts to, right? Manifest Monday. But the interesting part is that sometimes there's a conflict between that spirit side of us, that spiritual side of us, that is timeless, boundless, and has absolutely zero limits, that can absolutely manifest anything that they desire, that is not even living in this time or space or this world, and the 3D us, right? The ego, the personality us, the human part of us that has adopted roles and adopted labels, right? That we've gone through these labels before, that we have to sort of modify or limit ourselves to do things within this 3D world, to because we, you know, if we touch the fire, we will get burned here as humans. And it's really, really interesting that a lot of times when we use the words, I feel stuck, or I am struggling, or this is, you know, this is all resistance. This is resistance to who we are as humans. This is kind of what I wanted to chat about today, Ian. And if you guys, if we want to go, the exercise too, the exercise will probably take, what do you think, 10 minutes, Ian? If Catherine said she's game, will that, do you think 10 minutes is good?
I mean, it can take 5 hours and it can take 5 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It all
All right.
depends.
You know what, Catherine, if you're cool with that, let's jump into that in about 4 or 5 more minutes. But I wanted to kind of, that was my highlight today, was when we use these words, and I have an entire thing, I'm going to push this to next week. I have a whole thing about inner dialogue and outer dialogue, right? And that's really wanted to hone in, is that we talked about this in a few sessions before. How many friends would we have if we spoke to others the same way we speak to ourselves within our minds? Right? That inner critic is very, very, very loud. The inner critic can be very, very, very mean. And it's funny because the inner critic isn't even real, right? That's just the subconscious programming that we have in our minds. So it's interesting. So when we say the words, I'm struggling, or I'm feeling tired, or I'm stuck. You know, I had a couple calls with one person on this group and another one off the group. And they kept its words, right? Well, I'm struggling with. And the moment we say I'm struggling with, you are reaffirming that you are in the struggle. The moment you say I feel stuck right now, you are reaffirming to yourself that I feel stuck in this moment. Or if you say even worse, you say I am stuck, which is, there's no such thing as I am stuck. Right there, I feel stuck can be something. But in reality, right, the moment we use these words, and we're going to talk about this next week, outer dialogue, we say them out loud, or even when we train the mind and the mind is saying it internally, that's what creates this resistance. And in that resistance, just like Ian said, the almighty spiral begins. All the stallions leave the stable, right? The thoughts continue to go around. They run around, run faster and faster in the circle. And it takes a very special awareness to hone them back in. So that was going to be my message today. But I love that Ian and Catherine, you're willing to kind of go through this. And I think a lot of people might get something out of this. So I know we usually do this till 9:30, but yeah, Catherine, if you're game, and Ian, if you're game, let's go through this exercise.
I'm always game. Something
Yeah.
I want to add to that, Nick, is that the word abracadabra, most people know it as like a rabbit out of a hat magic trick. But abracadabra is one of the oldest words in written language, back to the first language, which is ancient Sumerian. And it means, with these words, I create. And every single language on the planet has the word abracadabra, and it all means the same exact thing. You can Google it. It's in the Bible. Like, Google it, and you'll see, with these words, I create. So what Nick was talking about, I want to add some stuff to when we say things like, I'm struggling or I'm overwhelmed. to really understand the depth and like where that's coming from, in my opinion, is the gap between where we are and where we know we're capable of being or what we're capable of doing. Yet we're just not that person in this moment who can actually achieve it. So that person that believes that it's possible is experiencing this feeling that we label with the word overwhelm or frustrated. The reframe to that is a mindset of curiosity, which is, where can I go? Who can I go to? When do I want to do it? What is it that I need to learn? So it's really just the missing of skills and habits or behavior or attitude or mindset between where you are and where you know you could be. And so next time you feel that feeling of frustration or overwhelm, and you're making up a definition to the word, or you're taking the common societal definition of overwhelm or frustrated, just step back and realize, okay, I'm not actually this thing. I'm not feeling these feelings. I'm making this up. What I'm actually feeling is the gap. And so instead of applying the power to, I'm frustrated, now I'm angry, and I'm going to go this way, apply that brain power, that energy to, okay, I know that's possible. I can get there in my business. I can get those deals done. I can do this in my relationship. I can do this for myself. I can lose this weight, or I can stop eating this food, or whatever it might be. What else do I need to learn to be able to get that at a much higher level, to be able to get that result accomplished? So instead of living in overwhelm and frustration, I'm now applying the energy to solving the problem. Does that all make sense?
Mm-hmm. It is.
Okay.
Using the mind, right? So you're using the mind to, the heart is still leading in this thing. And I want to make that very clear to a lot of people, because a lot of times
Yeah.
the mind just takes over. But this is a beautiful way to have the heart lead, and the mind is now just reframing to make it work, to make it serve them. Yeah, serve you. Yeah.
Yeah. If you say I'm frustrated or I'm overwhelmed, you're
Mhm.
right. And the brain is a computer. It will go, yeah, you're right. And we're going to give up on all this stuff, because it's much easier to fail than it is to succeed. And most people are not afraid of failure. They're afraid of success, because failure is finite. It just happens and it's done, and you're off the hook, and you don't have to try anymore. You don't have to put any more effort in. Success is infinite. You have to keep going. You have to figure out how to maintain success, which means you have to grow. When you fail, you get to be sorry and self-effacing, and you get to just sit and just stew in it. But success takes growth, and it takes energy and effort and focus and discipline and concentration on who you need to become to maintain that success and to keep it rising. So frustration and overwhelm is literally an escape tactic. It's a scapegoat for you. So if you're using that and you're blaming frustration and overwhelm, you're just self-sabotaging. That's all that is. Frustration and overwhelm as words are complete definition of self-sabotage. So next week, I want to hear from somebody who's like, before last week, I was frustrated and overwhelmed. This week, what I did was this, to move through it and out of it, because we can't get out of it without moving through it. We got to move through it. Michael Singer talks about that too. Don't apply your power to try and change the course. Apply your power on the course that you're meant to be on. That's from Untethered Soul.
Yeah, beautiful.
So, Katherine, you want to do this exercise really quick?
Sure.
Does anybody have paper, pen, anything like that?
Do I need to go get it?
It would help. It would help. I'm gonna
grab your journal, Katherine, and come on back. And while she goes, I want to really hone in on this, because this is, a Life Unlimited Manifest Monday call. What Ian was just sharing. Let's start. If you don't know how yet, which is, you're going to see this real quick with Ian going through it with Katherine with this exercise. If you don't know the how yet, it just starts with changing those words, right? That was going to be the entire focus of this call today. Changing the words from I'm struggling, I'm stuck, I'm frustrated, I'm this and that. And it's reaffirming in your mind, right? Because like he said, it's just a computer. Change the words to I'm getting better all the time, right? I am in control of my life and everything in it. I choose love. I choose abundance. This is how we end all of these Manifest Monday calls, because by doing that, you're starting to reframe and train the brain, right? Leading with the heart and training the mind. And you're raising the vibration to start attracting what you need to attract this week. So that next week, like he said, if you come on this world and you say, yeah, I'm really feeling stuck or I'm feeling struggling. It's okay to share those, but know that I'm going to call you guys out on your bullshit. So if you say I'm stuck or I'm struggling, I'm going to say, yeah, you are. So starting with the words only if you don't know how to do the other rest of it. And here's a beautiful exercise. So let's go for it.
Okay, let me change my camera real quick. All right, so
Thank you, Catherine, for
the
doing
first
this.
thing we're going to do, we're going to create a T-chart. So what we're going to do is we're going to understand the irrational thought, feeling, or emotion that we're experiencing. I can't do it. I'm not good enough. I'm not skinny enough. I'm not smart enough. Whatever, right? And then the stuff that comes with that, whatever your brain is telling you, right? So we're going to create a T-chart like this. And at the top, you're going to write irrational thought, emotion, feeling, whatever it is that you're experiencing in that moment. And this is how we're going to break through. We're putting a stop, right? We're putting a barrier to the brain continuing to run that left side vicious cycle. And we're going to start going right, which I call the dark woods. The left is like comfort zone. It's known, it's warm, it's comfy. The right side, when you make that choice, is uncertain, uncomfortable, scary, because it's unknown to you. So the front side of this is going to be irrational thought, theory, emotion, feeling, whatever it is that's coming up for you. And then on one side, you're going to put evidence. And on the other side of that T-chart, you're going to put emotion. And so in that moment, if you don't do it in the moment, you're missing the boat. You have to do it in the moment because you have to be charged with that emotion. And in this, you're going to literally write every single piece of evidence that backs up the emotion, the thought, everything that you're experiencing in that moment. You're going to write all the evidence that supports that thought, emotion, or theory. Does that make sense?
No,
Yes.
because how do I back that up if it's so like if I'm feeling overwhelmed or yeah, let's go with overwhelmed. What's my evidence of overwhelm?
That's the point. That's the
But
point.
how do
In an emotional reaction, there is no evidence that backs it up because in that moment, there is nothing real about that emotion. The emotion doesn't come from the present, it comes from the past. So there technically is no emotion to back up an emotional thought, or there is no evidence to back up an emotional thought in that moment. But you're going to have some because your brain in that moment, you're not in that moment right now. Well, in that moment, your brain is going to be like, no, this is definitely evidence that backs up this thought, this theory. Your brain is working to do that to keep you safe. So we want to see that evidence. I want you to write all of it down. Anything that you irrationally think is evidence that backs up this thought that you're not good enough or not tall enough or not smart enough.
Yeah, that's where I wanted to. Oh, go ahead, Catherine. I was going to say I think where there's with that emotion, there's that underlying story or program, right? So what is that story or program? I'm not enough, or this, that, and that's where you would find the evidence to support that theory. Go ahead.
Yeah, this could be story too. You can put story in there too, right? Because that's exactly what you're doing is just telling yourself a story. So you can put story in here, right? It's just whatever's irrational. But right now in this moment, you're thinking rationally. So you're not coming up with any right now. And in that emotional moment, you're like, no, this story makes sense. Right? So evidence, emotion on that one. Then what we're going to do is we're going to turn it over. And we're going to put the rational thought, the rational story, right? And then we're going to catalog that with evidence and emotion. Now you can do this however you want. I made this exercise up for myself because I needed it. But as you go through this, the thing that you're doing is you're starting to tie the two pieces of the brain together. You're also tying in conscious and unconscious because the unconscious is the one kicking those emotions and the conscious is the one that's saying, oh, that doesn't make any sense. That's not real right now. So as you go through this exercise, you're not only working yourself through it and applying power to stopping that vicious cycle, but you're also developing a habit to stop that vicious cycle. And as you develop the habit, it'll get stronger and stronger. And those emotional reactions won't have as much weight to them. They won't have as much power to them. And eventually you'll get to a place where you can do this in your head so fast that something triggers you and you can immediately go, hey, there is no evidence to back that up. And your brain goes, yes, there is. And you can literally fight with your own brain. And what happens is that wire that was wired in your trauma and your programming to keep you safe, that wire gets less and less and less current through it. And as it gets less and less current through it, the brain naturally will form a new wire to prove the real stuff. And you will literally rewire your brain with this exercise to not go through all that emotional reaction. I'm not as good of a salesperson as that guy. My business isn't big enough, whatever it is. I'm not a good parent. Nick, I don't have as much hair as Ian does. This is ridiculous. Whatever.
Proudly so.
Right,
I know. So go ahead, keep going. Go on.
Well, I was gonna say, does that make sense to everybody? Don't overthink this or overthink it. It's whatever you want to do with it. This exercise is very simple, and it's a box. You cannot escape this box. If you work within this size, you will rewire your brain. If you don't, then you'll start making, you'll make it up that I'm an idiot or whatever. Listen, I have 8,000 hours as a professional expert in psychology, trauma, childhood trauma, coaching. So this is my personal exercise. Not only I created for myself, but I create for all my thousands of clients. So this worked. And you can make me the bad guy. And you can say, I don't know who that idiot is that Nick brings on. He's full of it. Make me the bad guy. Put that down. Ian's an idiot. I don't know that guy. He always wears black shirts. What a weirdo. And then let's go through it next week and let's see, where does your brain lead? Because at the same time that we're building a new habit, we're also illuminating and identifying patterns of what you've been doing to get the result you currently have. So if you want a different result, then we have to change the formula that you're running to get that different result, because your brain is it's a math problem. It's all science. There is no gray. There's no like 1 + 1 might equal 2 today. I feel like it equals 3 tomorrow. It just equals 2, period. We could probably argue like alternative dimensions or whatever you want, but like, there's no evidence to back that up.
Yep. And that is the brain that we talked about a few weeks ago, right? It's all about that. It's carved such a deep Grand Canyon, like that same thought pattern. Like we talked about, you have 80,000 thoughts in a day. 72,000 of them are the exact same as yesterday, which is what Ian called, right? That safe left comfort zone. And then there's that scary right discomfort, which your brain doesn't know. And so it's going to try to keep you from there by going through the same patterns it always keeps you through. At least we know this pattern. So I'm going to add one more thing. So this exercise, a lot of you who are already in the Life Unlimited pods, you've seen us go through this pattern. It's called finding the opposite story. And this might help some of you. If you can't find the program's there, right? So the one that every single person that comes into our program goes through the same one. You know what? Every single person here has the exact same programming. I am not enough. Every single person has pieces of that programming that are in there from when they were raised as kids. And it's just how we ended up, right? So if that is true, so going through Ian's program, right? I am not enough. Let's find the evidence to support why I am not enough. This is a great exercise for anybody who wants to do it this week, right? Find the evidence, lay everything down. Well, my dad didn't love me, and this happened, and I was never a good straight A student, and I did put all the evidence that you think backs up the I am not enough story. And as Ian mentioned, Ian jumped right to what we call the rational story, right? But if you're having trouble coming up with that rational story, here's the exercise that we bring you through. Why don't we try a couple different versions of that story on, right? What if we try the opposite story? So what we do is, if I say I am not enough, and we go through all the evidence, now we're going to flip that to an opposite story, and it's a forced habit. So, okay, if I say I am not enough, what's the opposite story? I am more than enough. And if I use the opposite story, I am more than enough, now I have to find the evidence as to where I am more than enough. And funny thing with the brain does, now that I've asked the question, the brain starts looking for the answer, because that's what the brain does. Every single piece of evidence that we want to find, we will find, because the brain's looking for it. So now we have evidence in certain cases, in certain scenarios in our life where we were more than enough, where we showed up. Interesting. So if that's the opposite story, a lot of us have been through other groups, right? There's also a third story. It could be called the me story, right? The me story. So we go from our irrational emotional story as to what is coming up and why we're feeling that emotion. Then we go to the opposite. Now we're going to go to a me story. Me story is, I am not enough for me. I am not enough for me. And the brain can go and find all the evidence as to why you're not enough for yourself, right? What does that story even mean? Well, if you ask your brain the question, it will come up with some evidence for it. But now this is the beauty of it. Now we're going to get to that second part of what Ian just presented. So we have our original story, right? Which is just a story. We've gone through this in our groups, right? What's one thing you absolutely knew to be true in your life that turned out to be false? And by proving that story, it proves that everything that we believe is just a story and can be changed and is malleable. So if we know that everything is just a story and what we tell ourselves is how we live, we have the original emotional story. Then you have your opposite story. Then you have a me story. And now you get to choose your desired story, or as Ian called it, the rational story. If I have all of these evidences for all of these three different stories, then how do I choose to live my life? Knowing now that I can choose and I will find evidence for any story that I absolutely want to live my life with. So how about this story, right? I am more than enough in my own life for me, for my family, and for my business. And then you can go further with that, right? You can start to create like a paragraph for yourself. Everything that I show up for in the best way possible. By the way, this is how we end all of our Manifest Monday calls, isn't it? I'm responsible for everything that I have in my life. I'm responsible for all of the actions that I take, and I'm also responsible for all the thoughts and words that I use. Right? And here we go. If we're shifting and raising our vibration, today, this week, I choose to live in abundance, full abundance, loaded with opportunity, loaded with attraction, and money and energies just flow into all different kinds of accounts, not just money, but the love comes in, the wealth comes in, the health comes in, the relationships, everything is coming to me freely and easily. And as we continue to raise our vibration, right? Today I choose my words. Today I choose my thoughts. Today I can train my mind to think in the way that I desire, because I am a divine fucking being sent by God. I am a spiritual being having a human experience. I am limitless. I am boundless. And because of all of those reasons, I take today to choose. Because every single moment we do choose. We choose love or we choose fear. We choose abundance or we choose scarcity. So we say these words knowing that words become things, thoughts become words become things. And by living in those emotions of having that love, of having that abundance, of having that health, of being a good spouse or partner or lover or business leader or parent or whatever, by living there and having those feelings, we're enhancing the attraction of having more of the positive, more of that love, more of that wealth and health and happiness. So I kind of went on a little rant there, but this is such a beautiful, beautiful exercise. And Ian, I'm so happy you went through this. We were working on a text, an app that was going through this same exercise that Ian just did. But for now, I need all of you, if you are waking up and you're having that anxiety, or you are getting flipped off on it when you're driving through traffic and you have this anger that boils up. I have gone so crazy as to pull over as soon as I possibly could while I'm feeling that emotion, and I go through this exercise immediately, because all of a sudden different things will come up that you don't even realize. Like you getting angry at somebody in traffic, right? I can't believe they fucking didn't see where they were going, right? Well, what's the story here? Where I am is, this is the story that we'd end up with, right? Like they should be looking where they're going because that's disrespectful. Or what about the opposite story? Is like, I should be looking where I'm going because I'm disrespected? Or what about the me story? Why is everything always about me? You know, it is all about me. The world revolves around me. That's why I'm angry. Why didn't they see where I was going? And with those three different stories, now I get to look at them and say, okay, I have picked evidence for all these three things. And now I'm like, all right, some of these are ridiculous, right? Some of these are ridiculous. And now I get to choose, right? I get to choose how I want to live. That person, I don't know anything about what's happening in their life. I do know what's happening in mine. I know that when I get angry at this person, I attract more anger, and I attract more frustration, and I attract more struggle. So therefore, I choose, once again, right now, to live and just smile and know I wish that person well. I want them to have a wonderful day. I hope no one's in trouble. I hope that I'm so thankful that I pulled over, because probably that might have attracted me to stay away from another accident. Like, everything is happening perfectly for me in this moment. There's another affirmation for you guys today. Everything is happening perfectly for me in this moment. Every moment. I know I went on a big rant there, but I wanted to really highlight the beauty of this exercise. And I know I'm happy we went late today, because this is the basis of changing the mind, using the heart to lead. You're essentially working in your mind to change your own mind neurons, to change that pathways, to push that paddle, as we talked about, into that sand. Huh! Nope, I don't choose this right now. I don't choose this spiral. I'm going to, or as Ian said, the stallion's running free. I love that. We're going to close this barn door right now, and we're going to train these stallions in a different way. We're going to say, okay, nope, settle down. We're going to go down the other barn door today. Oh, we don't know what that is. We're scared. What's that? Well, we're going to brush our teeth with the left hand to throw you off. We're going to take a cold plunge to throw you off today, just to know that I'm in control of this. Take a deep breath in. Another deep breath in. And out. You get to choose how you show up. You get to choose every single moment how you show up. And remember your top 3 questions that we answer every single week. How can you show up better for you this week? Who else do you choose to show up for this week in a really meaningful way? And what's one inspired action you can do to move towards that which brings you the most passion or excitement? If you live those 3 questions, you are living in alignment, and everything else takes care of itself. Much, much, much love, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We went late today, but it was a beautiful exercise. Ian, thank you. Katherine, thank you for going through that. That was beautiful. You'll be seeing probably more of that in our big group, the REI Life Unlimited group. Make sure you all join into that if you're not already there. It's going through a rebrand right now. We announced that with a horrible, horrible live tech video that we did last week. Didn't go well. But
We'll do another one.
Yeah, we'll do another one. We'll post some other stuff in there, but much, much love. I'll see you guys next week. Same time, Mondays, 9 to 9:30. Manifest Monday call. Love, joy, and peace. See you guys soon.
Thank you. Love you guys. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.